is not continuing. That's the thing. There's got to be a limit to what we say. Like,
what does that mean?
Now, what do you mean, Prabhu?
Just like, I don't know, some statements like it might be taken the wrong way.
Who's making that statement? Narayan, Prabhu?
Right, that only Prabhupada melodies are bona fide.
Well, didn't you hear the conversation I sent you with what's his name?
Yes, I listened.
So wasn't it in that same regard?
Pardon?
It's in. Didn't you hear the part at like 42 minutes or something? They were talking about melodies and chanting and this and that.
And that
you probably heard it, right?
Who was it that was chanting in that video? I mean, that he was referring to that chanted. It was Narayan or?
No. That conversation I sent you.
I listened to it.
That was with Ishan Das.
And it was said, yes, keep him chanting because he's chanting my melody. Like that's what Srila Prabhupada said.
So I mean, it's two different people confirming that. So I think it's pretty accurate statement. And then Narayan has given personal accounts of he and Vishnu John making melodies, and Prabhupada was saying it's a nice melody, but it's better to stick to, what he has given. So, I mean, for me, it's enough. But
I've heard conclusive evidence of, and I'll share it too.
Let's have a discussion.
Vishnu Jana Swami is authorized to make melodies.
Oh, he's authorized? Is it? Where is that said? Is it in a writing, or is it in someone saying that, or?
Yeah,
or it's in writing. Okay, let's see it if you can.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have a discussion. Let me invite Narayan just in case he hasn't seen the message, so he'll be on too.
And okay, I'm about to share this.
One second. Narayan is calling me, so 1 second.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Okay. Haribol. Okay. Narayan Prabhu's coming on. Majority Prabhu might join. Matthew Prabhu's here. Mohit Prabhu. Mahaprabhu is here. Chai. All right. Okay. Hare Krishna. Let me copy this link. All right. Okay.
Okay.
You sent me the link, right, Prabhu?
It's in the WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Yeah. All right. Let me get that thing going. All right.
There's two and I was actually in the middle of watching the video, but I wanted to join the meeting.
Okay. KK Shams. Vyasaki. Well, right. We'll share this once Narayan Prabhu comes on.
Okay.
So I have it here. So he should be coming on soon. Right. What else? The making tunes part. So that part you have a hard time like agreeing or understanding. And
Well,
what else? Yeah.
Truths to saying that making certain kirtans is not right. There's but to just say that only Srila Prabhupada's melodies is also too far of an extreme.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's
We must chant like Prabhupada chanted.
Yeah, that's what Narayana Prabhu is saying.
And I'm not against anyone doing that. It's just saying that that's the only way is it's a denial.
I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got their own perspective on chanting.
And
I'm sure
people would be asked to not chant certain ways in certain associations like
No, that's the thing, because we have been associated with, ISKCON, and all many people chant in different, in different moods, different tunes. But if we strictly associate with people who chant like Prabhupada, I'm sure we'll see the big difference, because, no one hardly chants the way Prabhupada does. It's all like everyone has their own thing, just like in ISKCON, everyone has their own understanding. You know what I'm saying? Female Diksha Guru, all these different conclusions. So, I mean, I think it's a similar thing with the kirtan. People have different tunes, this, that, but if you go associate with all these different groups and then you come to a place where, Prabhupada's tunes are chanted and his instructions are followed as it is, I think you'll find a better experience, Krishna conscious experience. That's my 2 cents. So
I think only
original
Prabhupada.
books, huh?
yeah.
I think only Prabhupada can chant as Prabhupada chants.
Oh yeah,
And there's I find no fault in only chanting Srila Prabhupada's melodies, but it's just the going so far as to deny those that chant other melodies.
How about the issue of the gurus? So are you for the rubber stamped gurus also?
What? Pardon, Ragus?
Rubber stamped gurus, meaning that the GBC. Yeah.
You mean no? That's not a guru.
Okay.
The qualification is from their own effulgence spreading Krishna consciousness. And
what do you mean? What do you mean by effulgence?
That's something I'm learning too. I'm that an initiating guru has so many more qualifications than someone to just be a guiding guru.
Where are these categories coming from?
What's the
difference? What's the difference? What's the difference again, Matthew Das?
It's that they're truly a Brahmin. And what I'm trying to figure out is if they need to be Brahmin from birth or if that's a true requirement. But that's something
I see you're struggling with that, or you're trying to understand that.
What's Brahmin?
Okay, so let's
it's a division. It's a Varna.
Okay.
Lord Chaitanya said there's no hard and fast rules. That means you do not have to be a Brahmin from birth.
Okay. But
what's
you
a
need
Brahmin?
to be Brahmin from your second birth at least.
That's if you take initiation Diksha, then you can take a second initiation. But we've been working on the idea that the second initiation should mean that a person has studied everything the way the exact sound vibration that Prabhupada chanted and can basically duplicate that when leading kirtan.
Yes. So we were talking about that. Matthew Prabhu was saying to me, at least, Vishnu John Swami was authorized to make tunes and sing different than Srila Prabhupada. Matthew Prabhu sent me some evidence.
Who told him that?
No one told him that. He read it in Vyasaki's book, right? Vyasaki, Matthew Prabhu?
Pardon, who's Vyasaki?
In Vyasaki's book, right?
Is it?
Let me
Is I posted?
Yeah, that is Vyasaki's, let's see, that is Radha Damodar Vilas by Vyasaki Das Adhikari. So that's why, yes. So here in this quote or screenshot sent by Matthew Prabhu, he is saying that
What is
What
Vyasaki?
screenshot? Do you have a screenshot there?
Vyasaki Devidasi.
no, it's not Vyasaki, it's Vyasaki Das Adhikari. Vyasaki is the great singer that makes all kinds of tunes. So, you know, he has a special interest in making tunes. And so maybe that's why he's saying that. So this, okay, let me share this. Let me share the picture in the group so people can see. Save. Narayan Prabhu knows Vyasaki, God brother.
Yes.
So,
Where is he located now?
no idea, Prabhu.
Okay.
No idea. I'm just trying to load the screenshot. I'm mobile, so right now on the phone, so I'm just trying to figure this out. 1 second. Images. Anything else, Matthew? You can share questions, doubts, or anything, right? Or realizations, whatever.
Okay.
Up this. Okay, manage.
Okay.
Select more photos.
May I ask, what is the purpose in doing something other than what has been given by the Sampradaya Acharya?
Yeah, that's what I have a great deal of difficulty. Why would people need to invent things which is so simple, yet the whole recipe has been given by Srila Prabhupada? That's my
Because they were ordered by their spiritual master to do so.
okay. So
But
I've got
where
the
did
quote.
he order him to do so?
Yeah.
Saying,
You know, Matthew Prabhu, I've said this many times. Maybe you didn't catch it on the time that I did it on this Zoom call. But Vishnu John and I were both Sankirtan leaders in Los Angeles in 1969, and we were trying to emulate or imitate the London record, you know, so that we could put out songs of our own and get a recording contract of our own or something. This was Tamal's idea. So we made a group. I have photographs of the group. Mr. John was in the group. I was in the group. Jai Tirtha was in the group. There's a bunch of devotees in the group. Musician, people with musical backgrounds. And we went, Mr. John and I thought, well, we should have some new Sankirtan melodies for Sankirtan. So he and I sat down together and we put together 10 really nice melodies that we thought would be beautiful for Sankirtan. And then in those days, Prabhupada was easier to reach. He was in the same building and it wasn't all that many devotees, you know, maybe 30, 40 devotees in the temple. And we went to, and we were, you know, in the more authoritative branch. So we went to see Srila Prabhupada, and one by one, we chanted the melodies that we had written. And Prabhupada was very pleased. He was very nice. He said it was very nice. He was smiling. And when after each one, we asked him, do you like that one? He said, oh, yes, that's very nice. And we did like 10 of them, and he liked them all. So after that, we said to Srila Prabhupada, well, can we then use these on Sankirtan? And Prabhupada said, these are nice melodies, but on Sankirtan, that you should chant only the melodies which I gave you. He said that to us. So I don't know what Vyasaki, I know him and his wife, they stayed at my place when I had an ashram on La Brea Boulevard in Los Angeles. So Vyasaki saying that, I don't know what his background is or where he said it, or if Mr. John told him that Prabhupada said it, but all I know is what Prabhupada said to Vishnu John and me in 1969. And he said, no, he said, you should chant the melodies which I gave you.
Nayanarayan.
Yes, Haribol.
Hari
So
Bol,
the
Hare
question is,
Krishna.
what's
I have
wrong with
I have a
what's wrong with chanting the melodies that Prabhupada gave us?
I find no fault in doing that, but just to say that it's not bona fide to do otherwise, that it goes further than what I understand.
Where is the bona fide come in? Show me where Prabhupada has written that we can chant any melody we please.
As independent jivas, I think we all have an independent chant.
Well, of course. And because we're independent jivas, our part of our independence is we're not required to become devotees. We're not required to take a spiritual master. We can do very well without one. Look at all the jivas out there, billions of them, quadrillions, gazillions of jivas if you look out your window. And all over, plants, animals, bugs, insects, and in your own body, millions of germs. We all
have our individual chant.
Yeah, they're all doing their individual chant in the body. Your germs are doing, the animals are doing, cows, meow, moo, they're all doing their individual chant. Woof, woof, individual chant, meow. So, chip, 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 chant. That's what they're chanting. But when you want to make spiritual advancement, you need to surrender to one source of authority. And that's the spiritual master. The spiritual master is not a priest or a minister or something like that in a church. The spiritual master must be in the Vaishnava Sampradaya. And as such, whatever he chants, the student is obliged to chant accordingly. That's the number one thing. If a student is not willing to surrender to his spiritual master, then he hasn't got a spiritual master. If you have a spiritual master, if you say, a disciple has to decide in his mind, a potential disciple needs to decide in his own mind before he asks for initiation. He needs to ask himself, will I do my own thing as a jiva, which I've been doing since time immemorial, in so many different bodies, animal, bird, insect, plant. I've been in so many bodies based on my activity in the previous life. Or am I going to follow the lead of this spiritual master who in a sense is like Moses leading the children of Israel out of Egypt through the sea, Red Sea that parted. Now, you can ask yourself, why should they follow Moses? Why shouldn't they just do what they want? They don't have to follow Moses. They follow Moses.
To whom should they ask for initiation?
From the Sampradaya Acharya. The Sampradaya means the line of the Sattvic succession coming down from Krishna to Balaram, down to the different spiritual masters since for the last, gazillion years, coming down.
How do we do that?
Down to Lord Chaitanya. How do we do it? We're doing it right here.
Parampara, disciplic succession.
Yes. Disciplic succession means you're either in it or out of it. You're in the disciplic succession or you're not in the disciplic succession.
Right.
If you're in the disciplic succession, when you open your mouth, everyone will hear what they think is Prabhupada speaking or what Prabhupada chanting. Of course, each individual has individual expression, but like if you're in a college and you're studying math, you don't come up with your own mathematical theory and use that and say, this is just as good as what I'm taught by the teacher. You want an A in the class, you've got to understand exactly what E equals MC squared really means. What algorithms really are. You can't make them up.
Okay.
I mean, every computer I'll be with you in a second. Every computer person in Silicon Valley does not say, you say that's an algorithm, I say that's hogwash. I have my own algorithms that have nothing to do with your algorithms. They don't. They all follow the same exact algorithm. They're much more faithful to their mathematical model than we are to Srila Prabhupada. Go ahead.
Right. Matthew Prabhu, what do you think with Narayana Prabhu's logic and explanation?
Well, I've heard everyone is serving Krishna, and there's two ways we do it. It's either favorably or unfavorably. So.
No, that's not true. Who told you that?
It's something that I've read before.
No one
Can you
is
explain?
serving Krishna. People are serving okay, you're part and parcel of Krishna, right? Infinitesimal.
Not directly serving. That's not what I'm saying, but that Krishna is.
You're in a body. You're serving your body, but that's not the same thing as serving Krishna. You think you're serving yourself, who is part and parcel of Krishna. You think, in a sense, you are Krishna. I am in charge, and I can do as I damn please. But when the person surrenders to Krishna, he says, I'm not Krishna, and I can't do as I damn please. I have to surrender. Surrender doesn't mean do your own thing. Does it?
Yes.
Surrender doesn't mean do your own thing?
No, not whimsically.
Well, what's whimsically?
As to please the parampara all the way to Krishna.
Well, how can you please the parampara if you create your own style and means of serving Krishna? Has nothing to do with your spiritual master. Why do you say spiritual master if you want to do your own thing? God bless you. Do your own thing, but don't try to become a disciple of the Sampradaya. Do your own thing. You've been doing your own thing since time immemorial. Do your own thing. You can do that.
Like very good.
You can do whatever you please. And you can say that you're doing it to serve Krishna. If you want to fool yourself, then go ahead. People are doing it all the time. They're fooling themselves. I'm doing this and that to please Krishna. The secret is we have to know what will please Krishna. And that comes from the spiritual master. If you don't accept the spiritual master, God bless you. The spiritual master is only for those who want to accept him. Prabhupada is only there for those who want to accept him, not for those who want to say, oh, I'm baptized, I'm initiated. Now I have my own views on everything.
Right. That's what the initiators are doing.
Right.
To some degree.
And more and more, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're trying to stick with the core belief, but they're not succeeding very well.
Right. And that's where all these problems have been coming in, because of this principle of not following.
Exactly.
Committing sinful activities on the strength.
What is that?
That's an offense. The seventh.
What is an offense?
Committing sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name.
Oh yeah.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
But then if you're not chanting the holy name, if you're making up your own melodies, then how can you create an offense against something you don't even accept?
Right.
Where is it stated that that's an offense, though, to create your own melodies? Especially when people are claiming that.
What are you really saying? Where is it an offense not to follow in the footsteps of the spiritual master?
He's asking for a reference of where Prabhupada is saying that,
because I'm finding evidence otherwise.
Our whole movement from the very start is based on the authority of the spiritual master.
True.
So the spiritual master doesn't, sure, there's tons of gurus out there that say, oh, yes, you're God, I'm God, do your own thing, that's fine. But that's not what Prabhupada said. Prabhupada
Right.
said, you're not God.
Right.
You're a servant of God. And who are you, Mr. Indian from India? I am from the Vaishnava Sampradaya. I can show you the path back to whom? Back to Godhead, if you surrender. I can't do it if you want to do your own thing. I mean, why do you need a specific instruction to chant when everything is based on surrender? Okay. There's a very famous quote. What is it? You must accept everything said by the spiritual master and not reject anything said by the spiritual master. So whatever the spiritual master does, by example, is meant to be followed by the disciple. Where is the question of doing something else and then saying, I'm following the spiritual master? We've opened a big can of worms here, at least from the ISKCON point of view. Because everybody obeyed Prabhupada pretty much until 1970. Chutananda decided to destroy Prabhupada's melodies. And I was there when he was doing it. And Prabhupada they would have a kirtan. They would be Madhavisa and Guru Kripa, Yasodananda. They'd be jumping up and down like kangaroos. And they'd be howling different melodies they got from God knows where. And Prabhupada would be there. He wouldn't be leading the kirtan. He would be sit there bowed over with his kartals, muttering the holy name under his breath. If he liked those melodies, why didn't he join in and say, Jai, this is wonderful?
Actually, he stopped.
That's what I heard he did.
Many times. Yeah, that's what I told
you. You mean that example in Mayapur, that Mayapur example? Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. So it's not only you were there, others were there who noticed and are saying that exactly what you're saying. So it's not just you.
Exactly, not just me. No, well, thank you. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter if it's me or not. If I tell the truth, it's the truth.
Yeah.
But if you say, well, how am I going to believe that what you're saying is the truth? Well, then, as you say, there's others. But I was there with when Shama Sundar and what's his name? The guy Cohen. His name was Cohen. He became a devotee, I guess, a guru later on.
Jewish.
It resulted in the book called Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers.
Oh yeah, Cohen something. Yes, Michael Cohen.
Bob Cohen.
Bob Cohen. Yeah, Bob. Yeah.
And they were chanting outside on the stage at Mayapur. It was horrible, caterwauling. And this is very early on. And Prabhupada said, what is that? Oh, that's, who is chanting? And they said, oh, that is some Irish devotees. That's Irish kirtan. And Prabhupada said, these are his exact words. He said, why not Mayapur kirtan? So it went on for a little further, and then he told someone, go out and tell them to stop.
And there's saying too that Lord Nityananda would not want variation in the kirtan, and so he would close, and they would have intimate association with the Panchatattva.
I don't quite catch what you're saying.
The Panchatattva would sometimes close themselves off and have intimate kirtan that was not variegated like others that didn't know how to do.
But do you know who the Panchatattva was?
Yes.
What does that mean?
And when they go into their own little group, what pastimes are they cultivating in that little group?
Mahaprabhu is asking, what is the Panchatattva?
Thank you, Rupa Manjari.
Okay.
Hari.
So Rupa Manjari, why not tell them?
All right. The Panchatattva are the five, Lord Chaitanya and his four principal associates, about 500 years ago. So it was Lord Chaitanya and then his right hand.
Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself.
Yeah. And then Lord
And
Nityananda.
Radha and Krishna combined, actually.
Yeah.
And then?
And Radharani is the supreme goddess and Krishna is the supreme Lord. And
they came in one person. They came as one person.
Yeah. And then Lord Nityananda was Lord Chaitanya's right-hand man. And
who is he in the spiritual sky?
I don't know.
Balaram.
Balaram.
It's
Okay,
getting complicated. It's getting complicated.
I need to send you the book, Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu, you need to get the book. I'll send you the book and you read one page. One eye,
Krishna.
one page.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
So anyhow, Radha Krishna is Lord Chaitanya. Balaram is Lord Nityananda. So there's Krishna and the origin of the Vaishnava Sampradaya standing next to each other. And then Advaita is Vishnu, Gadadhar is Radharani, who's the other ones?
Shrivas.
Shrivas. Who is Shrivas?
The devotee. Perfect devotee.
He's the embodiment of devotee?
Yes.
Okay, and is that it?
That's it.
How many do we
Sri
have?
Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Jai Dvaita, Vishnu, Gadadhar, Radharani, Shrivas, and you say is the devotee, Gaur Bhaktivinoda.
And
Yes.
These
Mahaprabhu,
are all people, when they go into their enclave, they are conducting Vrindavan Goloka pastimes.
Don't test me on this, please.
No.
Mahaprabhu Pancha.
If you just say they're conducting Goloka pastimes, you'll get an A on the test.
Please don't test, Prabhu. Please. It's a request.
Haribol, Hare Krishna, welcome.
Haribol, Vashish, Hare Krishna.
Are you following the good principles?
It's not Vashish, it's Mohit Prabhu.
Oh, I saw Vashish on WhatsApp. He popped up.
Yeah. Well, he says he's going to join us at some point. He has a great deal of enthusiasm, and he stopped pasting all those relativistic pictures with nice quotes that don't lead us anywhere in particular.
Rupa Manjari was talking to me. Let her finish. Thank you, Rupa.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was just saying Pancha means five. And
Pancha.
So Panchatattva, that's the five personalities. That Lord Chaitanya is the one that they're all centered around. And those five personalities made the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra like world famous about 500 years ago, because they went all over India and they chanted this mantra, which before that time people didn't have access to, but they gave them access, and for that they're famed for having, quote unquote, broken open the storehouse of love of God, end quote.
The mantra that we speak, that we chant today, correct?
Yes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
When you're chanting that, you're chanting in the sound vibration directly emanating from Lord Chaitanya, from the Panchatattva.
Now Vishnu is
Punch means five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Sanskrit is ektotin char panch. Ek 1, do 2, teen 3, char 4, panch is 5.
And Vishnu?
Vishnu is an expansion of Balaram. Balaram manifests as Lord Nityananda in this pastime. He is the head of the Sampradaya that comes down unbroken from time immemorial. But we can to shorten the thing, we can say the Sampradaya comes to us from Lord Chaitanya and Balaram, meaning Lord Nityananda, down through the Sampradaya to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaurkishore Das Babaji, Bhaktisaranta Saraswati Thakur, and finally, the last step in the Golden Age of Kali for access to the holy name of Krishna, which is Srila Prabhupada.
Who is our focus?
He's our spiritual master. He's not just ours. He is the spiritual master for the rest of the 10,000 years of the Golden Age of Kali.
Can you prove that?
Well, who's going to take his place? Radhanath Swami, do you think? Or you?
No, why would you think that's
Haribol.
That's how he'll take it. No, Jay Pataka. He has a lot of disciples. He's taking that place.
Yeah, with his
I-
face falling off his
Okay,
skull.
Prabhu, that's a
You
great,
guys.
that's a great news. I didn't knew that. I didn't knew that. That's a great
qualified?
news.
Why do you think there's going to be more acharyas?
I'm just looking for the proof that
Okay, just ask yourself a basic. You don't have to have. Well, you do need proof, but it's not necessarily what you think of as not like college class proof. What you need to understand is that if another acharya comes, he will perform a vital function, right?
Yes.
and
I mean,
it's actually, described in the Vedas too, right? Or is that just in
Well, the Sampradaya is, anyhow, shall we say, Thakur
just-
Bhaktivinoda recreated the Vaishnava Sampradaya after Lord Chaitanya. It had fallen into the hands of Ramakrishna and other Bengali Sahajas.
Right.
Eunuchs and
Yes.
people like that.
so that's not
Right.
the song.
Okay, so Bhaktivinoda Thakur came. Then Gaurkishore Das Babaji introduced contrarianism into the strict Vaishnava Sampradaya, which was so strict that you and I could not come within a million miles of it, you know.
oh yeah,
But
none of us.
because none of us could even, if we came into the same village, we would be pushed out of the village.
Right.
If we're from an acharya. So the thing is that Gaurkishore Das Babaji created contrarianism. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who was stricter than his own father, adopted contrarianism, which he did in so many different ways, including putting a latrine imitating Gaurkishore Das Babaji in Radhakund. But then his main contrarian action was to send Prabhupada to that forbidden destination, forbidden to Vaishnavas, across the ocean to, God knows, America. That was forbidden. You have to be a contrarian to order your disciple to do that. And then Prabhupada, believe it or not, as nice and mellow and wonderful and loving and loved and charming and just absolutely exquisitely, transcendently adorable, Srila Prabhupada went contrarian beyond the wildest dreams of anyone that has ever had wild dreams about contrarians in the Vaishnava Sampradaya.
They are
Why?
contrarians in ISKCON. You know that, right?
Who?
Are you talking about
Yeah.
obstinate people or just contrarian? Because that's,
Contrarian, okay, a contrarian by technicality means to go against the accepted norm,
Yeah.
okay?
They're
I-
initiating dogs.
Contrarians? Well,
Yeah, it
they
is not.
can do what they please, but do they have the authority to do it? Did Prabhupada tell them to do that?
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Are they real dogs? They'll
Let's not
convert
get
them
too
into real dogs?
complicated. I mean, there could be some contrarians that are offering chewing gum to the deity. So, I mean, what does that mean? That's not what I mean by that. let's not screw up a wonderful understanding called contrarian. Contrarian means to go against the status quo, to go against the eccentric. It means to do something opposite of what people are contrary to what is accepted as the right thing to do.
Because there's no obstacle for spirituality.
Huh?
There is no obstacle for spirituality.
Where?
That's what Srila Prabhupada wrote.
He wrote that?
Yes.
Okay. So the obstacle that was there before Prabhupada and before Bhaktisiddhanta and from starting with Bhakti Vinod was that you cannot initiate women and make them into Brahmins. Okay? You cannot initiate people that are not, who do not know their gotra, their origin from the original Prajapatis. If they don't know who they are, they can't take initiation. They can't even become Brahmins, what to speak of Vaishnavas. Do you have that? So you cannot initiate malachas. You can only initiate qualified Brahmins. Now, during the war in 1972 was between Bangladesh and the revolution in Bangladesh versus Pakistan. I was in we had all the windows papered over so that the Pakistani airplanes couldn't bomb the different houses that we were in. And they had to put paper over most of the headlight of a car so that you don't get bombed. There was that. But then 2 or 3, maybe even 4 Brahmins walked in that had never been in a temple before, ISKCON temple, had never met Prabhupada before. And he gave them Diksha without them moving into the temple. Well, they had the Gotra, they had the Brahminical background, and Prabhupada could tell that they had the intent. But that didn't extend to people that were drug addicts, so they became kirtan addicts afterwards.
What's Diksha?
Diksha, yeah. Through Diksha, you get to step over your own hellish past. Hellish means it may have not come from hell, or it may have not seemed like hell when you're busy smoking crack. But when I never knew what crack was because I joined the movement long before that. But the thing is that that whatever people did is no obstacle if you take up the chanting of the holy name. I can tell you several people that I knew personally quite well that were catatonic when they joined the movement. Catatonic. They couldn't move.
Literally.
They couldn't move. They couldn't, literally. They could stand there drooling, but they would come into the temple, stand there drooling, and drool. During the kirtan, during the artik, they just stood in front of the deity, drooling and catatonic. One devotee in Buffalo came into the temple, went upstairs, went into the attic, and stayed there for 6 months. They would bring him Prashanam. When he came out, his fingernails were so long, and he had his hands clenched so hard that his fingernails went into the flesh of his hand and infected them. Now, this isn't exactly the sort of person that one would normally initiate to be a Brahmin in devotional service, right? Would you think? So what did he do? He ended up translating 40 books from Bengali into English of the Goswamis. Eventually, he pried his fingernails out, cut his fingernails, took initiation, and became a lifelong brahmachari. He was like,
Who was this?
I'm trying to remember his name. What was his name?
Kushakatra or something like that?
Yes. Kushakarta. Yeah.
Ah.
Hare
His
Krishna.
books are great works of scholarship. I didn't read them because they were written by Prabhupada, but nonetheless, it's a far cry from standing there and not bathing for 6 months with your fingernails infecting the palms of your hands until pus is running down your elbows.
It was that bad, huh?
Yes. Well, I wasn't there. It was Buffalo. When I met Kushakarta, he had emerged out of that to a large degree and taken initiation. I met him in Boston in '69.
Oh, acha.
So what I'm doing with that gruesome story is underlining the no hard and fast rules meant that Kushakrata could take initiation and become a Brahmin initiated, and later on translate books from Bengali into English and publish them. 40 books published. And I could say that would not have been possible if Prabhupada had not been a contrarian, because nobody in India, anywhere, would have initiated him for any reason whatsoever. So when I say Prabhupada contrarian, I don't mean that he did eccentric things. I mean that, well, he did eccentric things, but not like personal eccentric habits. No, Srila Prabhupada initiated people that could not be initiated, namely malachas, or untouchables, people that had eaten meat, people that had eaten goat meat. What about people that eaten cow meat? They are completely uninitiatable, except by a contrarian in the Vaishnava Sampradaya. Now we might say, did Prabhupada do this all on his own? No. It came down from Gaurkishore Babaji, Bhaktisiddhanta. But where did it really come from? It came from Krishna. Krishna planned the whole thing, exactly, that whole lineage. So that you and I, and Matthew also, can become initiated devotees of Krishna.
Yeah, but where does it say that the parampara ends here?
Oh, okay, that's where we are. Okay, let me ask you a question. What is missing that needs to be put in place? When Bhaktisiddhanta initiated Prabhupada, Prabhupada was missing because he hadn't started the Kanista Adhikari Krishna consciousness movement. He hadn't started it. He hadn't started the neophyte movement of Krishna consciousness, which is authorized, completely authentic, in spite of being made out of disgusting materials, nonetheless authentic. So where do we get that he's the last acharya? Let me ask you a question. What more needs, I did ask you the question actually, what is missing that needs to be added for the 10,000 years of Kali to be completed?
We need the next acharya to come.
What will the next acharya do?
Maybe.
Prabhu,
What would
I
he
think
do?
Radhanath Prabhu can be a next acharya. He's a very good contender of it.
Who?
Acharyas aren't elected.
Who was that you said, Mohit?
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Radhanath.
Let's not get started on Radhanath. We know Radhanath. He's doing very wonderful service to Krishna. He's created a magnificent addition to the Krishna consciousness movement, but he's not going to be the next acharya.
Okay. I thought maybe.
Let me ask you, do you consider an acharya just to be a family priest? He just carries on from the previous
There's
acharya?
one acharya at a time.
what will the next Acharya do? Bhaktisiddhanta did what he did. Prabhupada did what he did. What needs to be done now that hasn't been done? Matthew, I'm asking.
Is it?
What has
Has it-
not been done that must be done before the golden age of Kali can be completed?
There's the completion of those 10,000 years.
No. Years means nothing. I'm talking about what action, what deeds. Prabhupada produced books. What needs to be produced? Books.
Yes.
We don't have enough books. You don't think we have enough books? He gave us the holy name.
Matthew
Does
Prabhu,
somebody
what do you
give
think
some
needs to
other
be
holy
improved?
name?
Yeah.
What needs to be added to
The
what
Chaitanya
Prabhupada gave us
enough.
for the 10,000 years of Kali to be complete? What's missing?
Nothing's missing.
Ah,
Nothing is missing,
exactly.
Prabhu.
That's why you
Nothing
don't
is
need
missing.
another
Prabhupada has given everything.
Sampradaya Acharya.
Are you sure
All you
about that?
need to do is obey this one. We disobey this Acharya, now we want a fresh one. Why? So we can disobey him also? Or maybe crucify it, or maybe burn him at the stake, or maybe give him a lethal injection, or give him broken glass to eat. Those are all done
Prabhu,
for
I
the
have a
Acharyas.
issue. I have a doubt, Prabhu.
That's not. Wait.
So what do we need another Acharya for that Prabhupada didn't give us in his writing, in his example, in his books, in his sound vibration? We're talking about chanting any which way. Do you think another Acharya is going to come and say, chant any way you like? Or will he take out a whip and beat everybody? Do you want to be beaten with a whip
Okay.
by an
Well,
Acharya?
that's
Why
not
not
my.
just obey? Why not just obey Prabhupada? Follow his example, become his disciple, and do not get a whipping when the next Acharya comes, if you want the next Acharya. What would he do? Except tell you, you're a bunch of bastards and you have not followed your Prabhupada. Is that what you're hoping? He'll come and say, you're a bunch of bastards? Well, let's not be bastards. Let's be obedient disciples to Srila Prabhupada. And that way, we won't need another Acharya. Or will we? What will he offer us? Matthew, you want another Acharya? Tell me, what will he do?
Continue the disciplic succession without breaking it.
Is the disciplic succession broken right now?
No.
ISKCON is
what is-
broken.
No, this guy's not broken.
People use the name, but that doesn't change the purity of ISKCON.
Oh, so now what you want is someone to come and take a stick and beat all the people in ISKCON with a stick. That's the Acharya. Is that
No, I
the
want-
idea? Why don't we do that?
From
Why? We want to be disciples of Prabhupada? Let's rectify the movement.
Right.
Not hope for someone to come and rectify it for us. Because we can poop, but we can't wipe our butts. That's
We're not-
ridiculous.
We're not waiting for the Messiah.
We have had the Messiah. Lord Chaitanya was the Messiah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Do you know how I can
Prabhu,
prove it? Isaiah predicted the Messiah. He said they will beat their spears into pruning hooks, swords into plowshares, and spears into pruning hooks. Neither will they study war anymore. The lion will lie down with the lamb. And do you know where that occurred in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes? The lion
The
lying down with the
Jarakhanda
lamb?
forest. The Jarakhanda
Yeah.
forest.
So let's not wait for the Messiah. Let's follow the Messiah.
Right.
Mohit Prabhu was trying to say something.
Go
I
ahead.
was just Hare Krishna, Dhanvat Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I was just making the weather a bit
more funny. Do we have, Prabhu, I just wanted to ask, do we have any mantra for becoming dogs of ISKCON devotees? Any mantra you know? Specific?
Mantras to become what?
Nothing. Prabhu, I was just kidding off.
No, what did you ask?
To become any specific mantra to become dogs of ISKCON devotees?
Dogs?
Well, to
all we
become
have
a
to do is do what we're doing now, and we'll definitely become dogs.
master. That's how you
If
can
we
become.
want to not become dogs, let's restore Krishna consciousness movement so
thought,
that even dogs become devotees in their next life.
I thought maybe Prabhu, they had their own mantra. I thought maybe they have their own mantra to become dogs with them.
Why would someone want to become a dog?
The disciples are the dogs.
You don't have to have a mantra to become a dog. Just do what you damn please and sniff where dogs sniff, and you become a dog in your next life.
Do different organisms have different mantras?
No, Prabhu. No, not at all.
No, there's
You
only
have to
one
be-
mantra. There's only one mantra.
You have
And
to
that
be
is given
human.
to us by Krishna. And it's called the Hare Krishna mantra. That mantra is sufficient. It's quite sufficient to deliver everyone.
Prabhu, on a serious note, if we chant this, if in this human life, if we are chanting, we'll surely not take birth into lower categories of various beings on this planet. Is that sure?
Will chanting Hare Krishna mantra guarantee that we will not take a lower birth into a different species?
Okay.
Is that you're asking?
Yeah. Sure.
Yes and no. Yes, meaning if you chant purely and completely absorbed and do not break any of the regulative principles and commit no offenses against anyone, and if you do everything according to Srila Prabhupada, you will take another human birth for sure. As a devotee on top of it.
What
if
about
you
the
fool around with the holy name, if you go out and eat hamburgers and hot dogs and you mess around with all types of ladies,
yes,
or men or whatever's, then there's a possibility you will take an appropriate birth.
what about
not
the
human?
what about the learning disabled and emotionally disturbed and the mentally ill? What place did
you mean
what
those that
place?
are presently mentally disturbed and emotionally? Yes, those that's their present condition, right?
Correct.
Okay. First of all, without distracting from your question, let's just ask the basic question: how did they get that way? Was it an accident, or was it the result of their previous life's activities? See, nobody, according to the Vaishnava, nobody takes birth in any condition he has not developed in previous birth or births. So if a person comes mentally retarded, I've seen a lot of sea creatures that live 7 miles under the ocean. And if I look on their faces, they look disturbingly like people I've met.
Prabhu, I have a specific
how does
question.
this happen? Okay, now that's the brief introduction. This is your condition. Can you become a devotee from the point of being, say, mentally retarded or autistic? Is that your question?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, okay. Well, I can give an example. I had a past life regression in which I was a idiot, literally, like the village idiot. I was fat. I could barely see. I could see, but I couldn't speak. I was sitting by the side of the road with a bowl, begging, because I had no other way of surviving. I'm certain I wasn't living on my own, but whoever was taking care of me set me out there to add to the family income. And I was sitting there, and a group of people came down the road. And one of them I now recognize was Srila Prabhupada with a group of devotees following him the way they did in this lifetime. He looked about the same. And devotees were pointing at me and smirking. Devotees were looking at me and smirking and pointing, oh, look at that idiot. Look what he must have done in a previous life to deserve to be like that, you know? And that's what that's their attitude was, superiority. Oh yeah, we're devotees and he is a idiot. He's never going to get anywhere, right? Because he can't. So, because they were thinking from the bodily platform, you need to have a good body to become a devotee. But anyhow, I couldn't become a devotee in that lifetime. But Prabhupada kept glancing at me, and it seemed that he was speaking about me and to his disciples. And they were smirking, thinking, oh, we're superior and he's inferior. I didn't care because I wasn't capable of caring. I was an idiot. I could just remember what happened. And then they went down the road. But what Prabhupada was actually doing was he was giving me, when referring to me and speaking to me, he was uplifting me to the point where I could become a devotee in another lifetime. And I have.
Prabhu, I have a question specific. For example, Prabhu, when Prabhupada says that at the end of the death, if you think of Krishna, you'll go to Golokdham or you'll go to Krishna, right? So for a normal person, for a new person, he would say that, why should I chant all day? Because at the end of the death, if I think of Krishna, I'll go back to Godhead, right? I'll do this in the old age. Why should I do it right now? And why should I chant? Because at the end, if I die, right? If I'm thinking of Krishna, I'll go, right? What's the point?
Because it's not that simple.
I just want
it's not that simple. Prabhupada makes it clear that you cannot go back to Godhead until you become an Uttama Adhikari. When you're an Uttama Adhikari, you must be in your rasa with Krishna. You must be in your rasa with Krishna before you go into Krishna Loka. So how do you go into your rasa with Krishna simply by dying?
But at the time of dying, I can think of Krishna. No, why should I think right now? I should do my worldly things. But at the time of death,
you will not be qualified. You will take another birth as a devotee after that.
It will take you through your journey.
Yeah, whatever you've accomplished as a devotee in this lifetime, you begin in your next lifetime afterwards. Prabhupada said that many times clearly.
It will take you through the journey, Mohit Prabhu.
Yeah, step by step.
That I understood. But
step by step, when it comes to the body, human body means birth by birth. When you've taken enough births to become 100% pure devotee yourself, then you can go back to Godhead.
You don't want to wait until your deathbed and to begin to chant.
That's not the goal of a devotee either, to go back to Godhead.
Right.
Well, it ultimately is. To worship Krishna.
The question is, how do you define back to Godhead?
Right. To worship Radha and Krishna is the goal. And that can be done in whatever state.
Exactly. Now, the question of devotee is that if you become a pure devotee like Prabhupada, why would you be in the material world the way Prabhupada was?
On Krishna's orders. To
deliver us, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I'm so anxious to go back to Krishna Loka, what if I come to the point of purification where I can go back to Krishna Loka, and Krishna says, let's come down to America and finish work that Prabhupada was doing. That's the league for 10K.
Prabhu, can you just more elaborate on the Garur Puran today, if possible? What are the things? Anything specific you know about Garur Puran?
Garur Puran.
Garur Puran. No, Prabhu. Can someone elaborate? Garur Puran is a Puran which
Oh,
after dying.
yes.
Yeah.
We don't talk about books that are not written by Prabhupada. We keep it simple here. Garud Puran is not written by. So, yes.
We have to stick with the literature Prabhupada gave us.
If you want Garud Puran, use Shuchta Bhagavatam. There might be some quotes from the Garud Purana. So that's all we can offer here.
Yeah,
But Prabhu,
we don't need to know.
I mean,
The thing is,
if someone is told something up from Garud Puran, he would scare off and come to Krishna consciousness because it's so scary.
well,
Whatever offenses we do.
but why is scary? Because all the Shastras, no matter written by any authoritative person, if they're in whichever Sampradaya they're in, the Ramanuja Sampradaya or whatever, Madhava Sampradaya, whatever Sampradaya, all the writing is meant to either attract you or scare you into surrendering to Krishna.
Exactly. This is
That's
what I
it.
wanted. Yeah.
What more do you need to know about it than that? Everything Prabhupada wrote was, Prabhupada said, I did not need to write any of these books. But if you did not read them, then why would you think there was a reason to chant Hare Krishna? The only purpose of Prabhupada's books is so that you'll chant Hare Krishna. There's nothing there for you. I mean, when you take if you take another birth not on planet Earth, why do you need to know about Ramanuja in Ayodhya?
Okay.
You see, what we're doing with all of this literature is surrounding ourselves with the fact that there are many who are great acharyas and pure devotees and avatars of Krishna, and that they are all come to help us do one thing excellently, and that is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Exactly. There's nothing beyond that.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna is the core of Krishna Loka. What Srila Prabhupada said, Narottam Das Thakur wrote a song. English, it goes, Hare Krishna comes straight from Krishna Loka, but with chanting I have no connection. Day and night I'm burning in this dark world without working to make the correction.
Prabhu, any instances of you with Prabhupada when you heard Prabhupada saying that I am dancing with what is it? Narad Muni, right? Prabhupada once said that Narad Muni came to sit. So can you just elaborate something on that instance, please?
I'm not sure of your exact question, but Srila Prabhupada said to a devotee, Subal, who was in Santa Fe, New Mexico, all by himself, his wife took off, and they started a temple there. And he said, I'm chanting all by myself in this temple. And I said, I would like to close the temple and leave and come back to the Association of Devotees. This is way back in the beginning, 1967 or 8 or something like that. And Prabhupada said, no one is chanting with you in the temple. Can you not see that the demigods and Narada Muni come down and join in your kirtan?
Hari Hari Bol, Jai Prabhupada. Hari Bol.
Yeah, that's in a letter that he wrote to Subal. So you can research it and see it.
Through any other god also, Prabhupada must have mentioned that he also came down, or I'm dancing. Any other, one more instance?
Well, how about Lord Brahma? Iva Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Aruchi Ke Soba Jana Vetata Vane Jagajana Naloba.
Okay, that's the class.
And then the first goes, the one that says, Arati Koren Brahma Adideva Gane. The demigods headed by Lord Brahma come to hear the arctic ceremony to Lord Chaitanya.
And Prabhu,
So what more do we want? We're trying to make Krishna consciousness as small as we are, instead of making ourselves as large as Krishna consciousness.
So, except
Hare
Narad
Krishna.
Muni,
That's what ISKCON is presently doing. They've created a sanctuary for Chaitanya Adhikaris, but they're trying to make everything as small as they are, instead of making themselves as large as Krishna's movement is.
Hare Krishna.
so please, Prabhu, except Narad Muni, which all the demigods came when Prabhupada was chanting? Because I have heard that once Prabhupada was dancing very ecstatically because he was seeing Krishna there. Krishna personally came in touch with. Can you just
Well,
elaborate
that's
on
not
that?
surprising, is it? And Uttama Adhikari is never not seeing Krishna. A pure devotee of the Lord is in his rasa with Krishna. He doesn't put the rasa on hold to come here to be Prabhupada. He's in his rasa with Krishna at all times. But he doesn't reveal that to everybody, because people, what good would it do? If they have a hard time chanting Hare Krishna, what's the use of revealing that Prabhupada gained by showing that he's in a relationship with Krishna? By the way, is Rupa still here?
Yes.
Oh, Haribol Prabhu, because we want you to say,
Amen.
I got trapped into saying
Hare-
things again.
Hare
But there is an
Krishna,
example.
Jagadat Mataji.
Amen.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
To
After
answer your
many days,
question
I'm
directly,
listening your voice, Mataji.
in Vrindavan in
Yeah.
1969, when Prabhupada went there for the first time in April, somebody went upstairs and they saw Prabhupada lying on the floor, writhing around on the floor. And thought, oh my God, he's having another heart attack or a stroke. And they rushed downstairs to get help. And when they came back up the stairs, Prabhupada was sitting there calmly, as though nothing had happened. So you can see his was in this directly in his rasa with Krishna in New Vrindavan, America, West Virginia. We shouldn't think otherwise. If we think otherwise, then what can we possibly think about ourselves? We have nothing qualification, no qualification. So if we have no qualification, why do we try to make Prabhupada look as though he has no qualification? And can be easily replaced by people that were drug addicts when they joined the movement.
Prabhu, this is the worst.
So
Prabhupada,
we need to, then let's restore ISKCON to its, or actually what we did last night is, and Ramachandra Prabhu we were talking about how we need to go back to the very beginning and realize that we never followed Prabhupada ever. We don't want to restore ISKCON to 1968 or 1970. We don't want to say ISKCON was fine until the gurus took over. No, ISKCON was not ever fine because people did not ever fully surrender. And that comes back to Matthew's question. Matthew still here? Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Good. So coming back to the original standard, we can then recreate ISKCON, not recreate it, but simply allow that ISKCON to manifest itself from Prabhupada as he spoke, as he acted, as he did, and as he instructed. And when we create that, it will be ISKCON for the first time. We're not restoring ISKCON to pre-Ritvic